Hello, everyone, and first and foremost, happy holidays. This is going to be the last episode we get out before Christmas. So we're home for the break from university. Um, so if you notice the acoustics are a little different or the lighting's a bit off, that's just because we're in new places. It won't be anything too permanent. I can't lean back in my chair, which is so odd for me because that we have like the suicide chairs, so like they're that pretty much rocking chairs at university, and they're just terrible. But I've gotten so used to sitting back in them, I can't do it in this chair. So if you see
Yeah,
me
me
like,
neither.
yeah, if you see either of us just like leaning back the whole time, just know it's not intentional. But this week, the Red Wings had a pretty good result. I said I would be happy with 2-2. I'm trying to remember what we said. I said I was hoping for 3-1. I'd be happy with 2-2, but like I thought 1-3. But
I I definitely said 3-1 because I had full belief, but I thought they would drop two as well, but they got 3-1. I'm happy
Yeah, I
for
did
them.
not have full belief. It was a really good week for the Red Wings. A lot of really good games. An exhausted team went into Utah. But other than that, I mean, they looked really good, and we're going to talk about all that and more. Everything from Moritz Seider popping back up again in award talks to John Leonard stealing the show this weekend on the mom's trip and everything in between. So, again, thank you guys as always for tuning in. We hope the advertisements on the last episode weren't too much of a shock, too much of a bother for anyone, but it does help us keep the lights on here a little bit. So, it's a welcome adjustment. And anything you guys want to tell us, talk to us about, we are over on Twitter. I have tried running it more. You can follow my personal Twitter over at Alex Debera, or you can just follow the show's Twitter. Both of them are equally fine, equally good way to stay intact, and you can find us over on Inside the Rink on YouTube as well. So, with all that being said, let's get into our first segment and talk about these games that they had. The Red Wings had another 4-game week. The schedule makers were back up to their bullshit, giving Detroit back-to-backs. Who knows why? But they took on the Islanders and the Mammoth before going on to the Capitals and the Capitals. So we're going to get it started in New York, where the Islanders game was, in large, a snooze fest because it's a New York Islanders game. But the Red Wings, I think, looked about even for most of it. I mean, they didn't get the better of Sorokin for most of that game until really the third period when the power play got back together and really started clicking. And it was off the stick of arguably the Red Wings' best player this season. I know we're going to talk about Moritz Seider a little bit later, but, Alex DeBrincat, for all intents and purposes, has been as good as Seider has, if not better. If you value offense over defense, or if you just believe that Detroit's like team defense has been better this year. But Alex DeBrincat gets a beautiful 2 goals on the power play, both of them. But before that was an Axel Sandin Pellikka. Just again, like really showing that like post Quinn Hughes drama, the Red Wings blue line has kind of been amplified, and people are looking at Edvinsson to really take a next step and Sandin Pellikka to really kind of show some offensive flair. And I think Pellikka does that this week, especially in this game. I mean, off a face-off, Lucas Raymond tips him the puck. He just walks down Broadway and picks a corner to get the first goal of the game for the Red Wings. And it was an electric goal. Like, you could absolutely feel the game shift. And the Red Wings have not lost in regulation when Axel Sandin Pellikka records a point. So it continues to be just one of the best storylines of the year. The rookies have been so great, and they continue to be great later on in this week. We're going to touch on some big points by Emmett Finney mostly. But Sandin Pellikka got in there too. And it was just overall, like, the Red Wings were able to get their power plays and shut down the game and capitalize, which is something the Red Wings haven't had a lot of these last couple of years. Like, they've noticeably lacked a serious killer instinct to kind of either get a clean foothold on the standings and take a big game where it matters, or kind of get back in a game and really stay back in a game, or, like not let things get too close. You think about the Boston game earlier this season where they were up comfortably and then they let in 2 goals with the empty net to make it a 5-4 final that you didn't need to have. Stuff like that. That's so typical of the Red Wings to just make it closer than it needs to be. They didn't let this game get to overtime. They shut things out. John Gibson played a really good game in between the pipes, and he continues to be just so improved from the first game we saw from John Gibson. We're going to talk about it a little bit later. A lot of player-specific storylines this week, which is good. But John Gibson continues to be just finding his footing. I thought it was a little bit fraudulent on that trip. I think I made mention of that in our last episode, that like I wasn't sold on Gibson until he did against some real teams. The Islanders are a good team. I was going to say New York's a good team. The Islanders are a good team. They've been shut down well by John Gibson. Like, he looked good through that game. So it continued to be a good story for John Gibson, and he's creeping closer and closer to that 0.9 save percentage that kind of would crest him over the average mark, so to speak. But on the second night of a back-to-back, Detroit played Utah, which was a game where, again, if they won it, they would have a serious stranglehold on the standings. And Utah is not exactly a very good team. They're missing their best player in Logan Cooley. And the Red Wings looked very flat. It was not a good game by any means. Cam Talbot in net, I think, played okay. He had Ozzy in the broadcast got on him a little bit because he kicked out a puck pretty far, but it started with a bad Edvinsson pinch and then a bad Edvinsson read on defense. Edvinsson didn't have a great 2 games in the middle of the week. He had 2 goals that were pretty much on him solely. The opening goal for Utah was just that. And then not too long later, Utah would add another one. And Detroit just looked like they weren't going to get back in it. They just clearly didn't have jump, clearly didn't have energy. DeBrincat, Larkin, Raymond, they really looked passenger this game. It just looked like a team that was too tired to be out there. And you could see that they've played more than any team in the East right now. And you can see that exhaustion start to factor in, even on a tired Utah team. Detroit ultimately drops the game 4-1. One of the worst performances in December by a lot. Like, obviously, because they've been so good this month, they've won a ton of games, which is super uncharacteristic of them. They've been bad at times, especially in the losses. And this was one that was a real tough watch because you didn't have the inkling that they were going to get back into it. All of that, though, before a very good Washington weekend, where it was a little bit cathartic for the Red Wings, who obviously Washington took that final playoff spot in a tiebreaker 2 seasons ago. They got them back this weekend, and they got them back good. Saturday was a dominating win. Like, they looked very comfortably in the driver's seat pretty much the entire time. And Sunday was, I'd argue, a more balanced game. Washington had a far better first period. Like, legitimately, like, for all the stuff I was saying about Detroit, like, dominating that first game, Washington looked very comfortable, especially in the first period of Sunday's game. And then it was a bit more of a back and forth 50-50. But Detroit's depth scoring, and noticeably that second line with Andrew Kopp, was kind of back at it again. I mean, it was John Leonard this weekend who just has scored a goal in both games, really gave the Red Wings some footing in both. He looked good. And then it was 2 kids connecting to get Lucas Raymond his first goal in 9 games. He breaks an unreal drought. It was Emmett Finney to Axel Sandin Pellikka to Lucas Raymond, who scores like a very Lucas Raymond shot, just a pure wrister, coming in from off the wing on the power play. He stayed out a little bit longer, and he deserved that one. He's been looking for it. He needed to start shooting the puck a bit more, and he's known as a streaky shooter. Like, when he gets hot, he gets hot. So, hopefully against a very good Dallas team tomorrow as of recording this. You might be hearing this today. We record on Mondays, but it's a Monday night right now. So if you're hearing this, odds are it's probably going to be Tuesday morning, or maybe Tuesday after the Dallas game. Who knows? But going into Dallas, like, you want Lucas Raymond to be streaky. You want him to be going in hot, and that's a good way to kind of get him off the snide. And same with Dylan Larkin with the empty netter in the Saturday game. So overall, a really good week from the Red Wings. We were both happy with the performances. Both goalies showed up, which was really nice. Cam Talbot broke a bad drought. John Gibson continued a really good streak. We're going to talk a bit more about the goaltending, a bit more about the individual storylines and the players that kind of make this week happen. Spoiler alert, it wasn't really the top guys, not too much from DeBrincat, Larkin, or Raymond from the forward group. But there's still a lot of great storylines nonetheless. So we're going to take a quick break and head to segment 2. All right, second segment, Kicking Tires podcast. we have a lot of individual storylines to talk about because a lot of individual players had really good moments. So let's start with a reoccurring storyline. And that's a good thing because if this guy is going to do it, he's going to need to be getting this storyline frequently this season. But Moritz Seider, we talked about his potential MVP case. Since that piece has come out, we said how he was second in goals above replacement in the NHL. He has since passed Nathan MacKinnon for first. MacKinnon might have passed him again because he had a massive game. But as a defenseman, I can promise you he is still first. So he's probably getting the Norris talks. MVP, we even said on our show, it was a little greedy to get him there. But is there a Norris case for him, Shola? And if so, I mean, what more is it going to take to kind of get him through? And what has he been doing so far that's kept him in a conversation that seems to be ran by a great Cale Makar season?
To be honest, like there are like multiple things I see from him that could keep him in talks for me. Like as I watch most of the games, and like the first thing I'm trying to think of is like who do I think has played the best? Like I try and get like a player of the match at each player. Or like, and I'm trying to think of like the landscape of the entire season and like what we've been talking about and who I think has been like the MVP for the Red Wings in general. And like, I know we said before it could be Dylan Larkin, it could be Alex DeBrincat, but honestly, like I'm thinking about it, it really could be Moritz Seider. He's getting the hardest minutes as a defenseman for the Red Wings. He's top pair defenseman. He's one of the best, if not okay, I can't say the best, but he could be the best defenseman in the NHL, period. He's on a streak. I heard it on the broadcast. He has 21 points in 21 games. He's averaging a point per game. So if you're talking his offensive production, you can see it there. His defensive production, bar a couple of stupid back passes and just losing possession on a couple of occasions during a power play, he's probably been and like one of the best defensemen I've seen in the league, like in the league. There's a bunch of things I see, whether it's the checking, the um what's it called? Just the dispossess like him dispossessing the other team, starting breakaways, just anything that you need like that is just like steady from a defenseman, you get from him. And I feel like that's what you need if you want to be in Norris conversations. I put in the thing, should he be in MVP conversations? I think that's bold. That
Yeah,
if we're
like
talking about anything that should be bold, it's MVP. But I do think he's if close, if not like 1A, 1B with maybe Alex Brinket as the Red Wings MVP, MVP of the league, a little bold. Norris conversations, however, I think he is in that top three conversation for sure.
yeah, it's one of those things where when we were talking about it was good to get our definition of what we mean by MVP out of the way early because it's one of the most like fluid things in sports across like every league. What does it mean to win the Ballon d'Or? Like giving it to midfielders who shouldn't win it. Rafinha. Rafinha should have won, sorry. Um, all kinds of stuff. Like even in the NBA, like guys on good teams win it, but then you have like a guy like Jokic who's like triple double and he has like the greatest like box score, whatever. Well, our definition of that we decided on is the player that impacts winning the most. And in hockey, there's very clearly two sides of the puck. Like, and there are two ways that a defenseman can impact the game, and you're kind of seeing it by the top two. I want to say top two generously. Obviously Miro Heiskanen is having a great season, but between Seider and Makar, you're seeing Makar be the offensive way to impact the game and Seider be the defensive way to impact the game. I think that they both do contribute to winning a really similar amount. It's just going to come down to, if the voters see it that way and if Seider can continue to play at around a point per game level for the rest of the season. So it's going to take a lot. And the Norris Trophy is like, there's only 27 players in NHL history who have won it, right? Like there's a lot of like repeat offenders for it. Makar might damn well score third this season. Like you can't just have a good season. You need to have an incredible season. And I was doing some numbers earlier. You're going to see this in a piece that's going to come out later this week. Hopefully it comes out as this episode does. So this might be the reason you're seeing it. Moritz Seider's on pace to score 60 points. Over the past 2 seasons, no defenseman who scored less than 70 points has received a single first place vote. So, like it or not, offense does matter. I think 75 points and continuing just like dominant defensive play will probably be enough to get the vote. Like, I think he will win it if he scores 75 points. In order to do that, he needs 48 points in the next 45 games, assuming no injuries, but German machine doesn't break. He's never missed a game in his career. So, you can cross your fingers on that one, but it's a tall task. There's a long way to go, but the fact that he's in these conversations is it's a win for Red Wings fans who have kind of been listening to talks about, Jake Sanderson potentially being better, or, Thomas Harley passing him, or, Brock Faber, defenseman X, Y, and Z. And the Red Wings fans have kind of been saying, like, wait till he gets a real team around him, and wait till this, wait till that. Now that Detroit's kind of in a more competent position, you're kind of seeing Seider really be unlocked. And, hopefully with another good offseason, bringing in more defensemen and internal growth from the ones you have, Seider can get even more cushioned minutes where he can really start to dominate offensively and really work himself into these votes. So it's big. And I do want to give some credit to the rest of the team here. Obviously, Seider is far and away the best defenseman, best offensive defenseman, and the best defensive defenseman on this team. But, Simon Edvinsson, Ben Sherrod, Axel Sandin-Pellikka, they've all taken steps this season to allow Seider to kind of free up a little bit more, as opposed to being just anchored to such tough minutes. It's been an improved defense core through and through, and I think Seider's just an amalgamation of all of that, or kind of like embodies all of that. So it's a good storyline, and one that you hope you kind of keep hearing into March and April, and maybe he can get his way onto a ballot somehow. So as for players who have been kind of keeping the puck out in their own ways, Seider maybe suppresses it, but John Gibson does it directly, and he's had a month, man. We came out, I remember I don't know if it was a part of our wish list episode or if we did the tier list in a different episode. I can't remember the order we did it.
It was the wish list episode.
Yeah, okay. So we did the wish list episode, was our December wish list, which we either did on the first day of December or like the last week in November. We did it before anything happened, and the player we had basically like that we liked the least, or that we thought was playing the worst on the Red Wings, was John Gibson. We had him there below like Rasmussen before he started scoring, and like Kopp before he got good. Which, by the way, all the players we put low actually have really turned it around. So there's that. Even Sandin-Pellikka has been playing better than you know what I mean? Like, it was a good month. But John Gibson, I mean, it's been 7 straight wins for him, and 2 of them have been shutouts. Obviously, one like a start of the week. John Gibson has really turned it around. He looks so much more comfortable, and the team is playing so much better in front of him. It looks like they really figured out like what they need to do. Like, I think they were trying to block shots too much, and now they're just focused on letting Gibson see the shots. So there's no more of those high tips that Gibson really struggled with. He's been seeing the puck, and he's been stopping the puck. He's only had below a .9 save percentage in 1 of his last 5. I don't know what it is for that whole 7-game stretch. I think it's 3 of the last 7 he was below a .9, but just barely. But again, 2 shutouts in that time. He had a very good game against Washington. Like, didn't like the game get out of hand. Like, I think Gibson has been, as advertised, at least in December, as what he was supposed to be at the start of the season. So is this a turning point? Hopefully. You can kind of hope that this is just going to be Gibson going forward, and that's the end of it. I do expect a little bit of regression to the mean. Like, I don't think he's going to be winning 7 straight all the time, or else you're just going to be playing him every game. But Gibson goes as the Red Wings go. Like, when the Red Wings are good, Gibson's good. And when the Red Wings are bad, Gibson's bad. And, you can kind of hope that this keeps going chicken and the egg. Like, the Red Wings keep winning because of Gibson, and Gibson keeps winning because of the Red Wings. And you just keep rolling with this lineup, and, good things will happen. But credit to Cam Talbot, who snapped his streak. Like, goaltending is only so helpful if it's like 1 in, 1 out, pretty much. Like, one goalie plays good while one goalie plays terrible. Like, Cam Talbot, like Shola talks about record all the time. Cam Talbot's had a lot of losses in a row, and getting this one back was huge. So, Shola, what have you seen from, I guess, more Gibson, but just the tandem in general over the last little bit?
To be honest, I was talking about. I probably slandered Cam Talbot's name across the last couple of episodes because I was just saying, "Oh, Cam Talbot's slipping, Cam Talbot's slipping," and I was gonna put that in our notes that we put for the episode. Then I realized he won against the Capitals. I was like, "Okay, I can't put that anymore." But he did snap his streak. He was slipping for a little bit. There were close losses that he was a part of. But like you get the Mammoth game where it was 4-1. You get a couple of games where they like we lose, and I see you as a net. It's like, oh, it's Cam Talbot. Like during the beginning of the season, I wasn't really saying that because he had a very good winning record. But I guess you expect that. Like I don't really put it most of the blame when the Red Wings lose on Cam Talbot because he is an older goalkeeper. And you have John Gibson, who's supposed to be this franchise goalkeeper. You can't play him because he was playing so terribly in the first beginning of the season. But now you have him. He's on fire, seven straight. Like I regret putting him in this conversation of, oh, he should be the worst player on the Red Wings. He's not that bad. Like him being there is like him staying hot. If he can stay hot and the Red Wings stay hot, like I'm not trying to put anything in the air, but playoffs, bro, could be there. I'm
Play it
telling
might
like
be more than just if this is John Gibson, this could be like a it might not be a first round loss. Like it might be more than just make the playoffs. Like what a real goalie would do for this team. And I know it's a stretch. We're talking about like 1 month where he's been great after like 2 months where he was like borderline the worst goalie in hockey. But like if you get a real goalie, like the real vintage John Gibson behind this team, and if you have vintage John Gibson, Norris level Moritz Seider, like Rocket Richard Race, Alex DeBrincat, plus Lucas Raymond trying to like hit that 90-point mark, Dylan Larkin kind of getting back to form, the rookies helping out, depth scoring. It has the recipe of being like a very good team, a very well-rounded team that, like without a full-on superstar, if you can still say that despite DeBrincat, Raymond, and Sider kind of changing that narrative every game, there might be more to this team than just a first-round exit or just done in 6 games to a better team. There might be a winning recipe as early as their first season in the playoffs, and it starts with good goaltending. So, speaking of Alex DeBrincat and his team MVP case, let's look a little bit broader as comparing him to all-American forwards here. The Team USA debates have been hot this season, and if DeBrincat would make it, some people were saying Cole Caulfield over him because he's a smaller forward, but DeBrincat's outplayed Caulfield thoroughly. He plays, harder defensive minutes. His deployments are tougher. He's been by far the better player. And he hasn't done it with, a Nick Suzuki level player. He's done it pretty much being the most talented player on his line by leaps and bounds. Even when Patrick Kane is healthy, like even when Andrew Kopp is there playing well, DeBrincat is still by far that best player. So, what do you think of him for Team USA? And potentially seizing a roster spot and going with alongside Dylan Larkin, who's very likely to make it as well.
to be honest, if I could get every Red Wings player on every single national team, I would. But to be honest, like really thinking about it, I think I was checking the points leaders for everybody in the NHL. I think Alex DeBrincat is tied for 18th, if I'm not mistaken. Like
And there's a lot
he's
of
up there,
Canadians up there.
like 40 points in the season. Like I keep saying, like he really could be the Red Wings' best player alongside Dylan Larkin, Mo Seider, Lucas Raymond. Like I I think you have to have him because he's such a streaky scorer. Like when he's on his game, he could get three on any given night. Obviously, he hasn't gotten three yet this season. He's been close, but he hasn't gotten three this season. But like on any given night, he's dangerous. And I think that's something you have to look into if you're the Team USA coach. And if you want to throw him a roster spot off of what I just said or off of what you've been seeing on the during the regular season, I think that's something like that you really have to consider. If Dylan Larkin's gonna be there, have his buddy with them too. Like those two have been
And
clearly the
it's
two best forwards, so
yeah, and it's so
you
hard to
might as
create
well.
chemistry at national tournaments, like especially creating chemistry quickly. Like you see it a lot in like team building and even in other leagues. Like the NBA was the last major league that went to the Olympics. Like a lot of the thing was like how is this team going to build chemistry? Like how are you going to find people who need the ball, don't need the ball? In this case, is need the puck and don't need the puck. DeBrincat can play well both with and without the puck on his stick. Like he's a talented shooter, but he's a totally fine playmaker. He's good off the one-touch pass. Like DeBrincat doesn't need the puck to be successful. He's a pure shooter, but he can contribute and get the puck back better than you would think. So looking at the projected roster, I'm using Mbon on Instagram. If you've seen him, he's one of the bigger hockey news outlets and sources right now. Great content if you haven't seen it. But for his Team USA projected roster, this came out a while ago, before the season started, I'm pretty sure. He had JT Miller, Clayton Keller, and Alex Tuck making it over Alex DeBrincat. And he's thoroughly outplayed all of them. Like I shouldn't say that. Robertson deserves a spot. But JT Miller, Clayton Keller, and Alex Tuck, like he's been far and away better than all of them. Miller is more physical, but so is Alex Tuck to an extent. But Clayton Keller's another small skill forward, but he just has not had a very good year. Last year was incredible, but this year he's taken a noticeable step back. I think if you're looking for that small skill guy who is going to score the puck, like Team USA at the Four Nations, their big problem was scoring, right? Like they couldn't get a goal when it mattered. You know, Matthews couldn't score. They had to put Larkin on the top line to try to use that speed to get him going. If you're going to trust Dylan Larkin in big moments, you're going to want him with a teammate who knows how to get out there and score. And believe me, Lucas Raymond is a big part of that line, but a lot of right wings, on Team USA could fill that Lucas Raymond position. And you have a line that doesn't need too much gelling to get together. Like, I think Alex DeBrincat would be a very good fit on Team USA, much better than Cole Caulfield for sure. Like, I get it. Montreal is the biggest fan base in hockey. So, everybody who scores one goal, it's like he scored 50. Like, everything gets amplified. Same with Toronto for a lot of really any Canadian market. I think DeBrincat kind of goes under the radar because Detroit has been so bad for so many years. And I know a lot of even playoff odds still have Detroit as like a fluky team to get in. Like nothing set in stone in Detroit, but one thing that has been is DeBrincat these past two seasons. So if I'm Team USA, I would give him a serious look. If not, put him on the team. He can strive in a top six or a bottom six role, and I think you'd be happy with him either way. So that's kind of us on Alex DeBrincat and his Team USA chances. We're all for it, obviously. A little bit of homerism, but how could you not? He's playing great. He's been their best forward. How could you not be rooting for the guy? So on to our final bit of player discussion. Before we get into some just news and catch-up stuff, there has been a decent amount of news this week, but the final thing we got to talk about is Andrew Kopp really stepping into that second-line center role, and he's been so good. Like, not even just like a strong player, like a very good all NHL level second-line center. Like his production is, he's over a point per game since joining that line. Like you put that on any team and they're very happy with their second-line center to be doing that. And it hasn't been dependent on Patrick Kane, right? Like he's been able to do it with John Leonard in the lineup and still produce some of the most points. He's been making smart plays, distributing really well. You saw Moritz Seider in overtime. He's getting big minutes. He's playing on the penalty kill. The question is, has Andrew Kopp taken that second line spot firmly from Marco Kasper for the rest of the season?
I don't know if I want to say yes, but I think in the past 10 games, Andrew Kopp is on 11 points. That's more than Marco Kasper on the season.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's really saying that he really blemishes well with Kane, with even John Leonard, and
Yeah.
with Alex DeBrincat. Like you're seeing that they work well together. We talked about it last episode, like the fluidity, like that. Kane, DeBrincat, and Cop line bring, the movement that they can bring. Anyone is comfortable on the puck. Like there's just so much like there's like a sense of calmness that it comes with that line that you didn't really get when you had Marco Casper on there. Not to say that Marco Casper is a bad player by any means. He's just having a rough year so far.
He has
So
been
if you
better as of late, but certainly not. Like Cop has just been great as of late. Like it's one of those things
yeah,
that it's so hard to
like
argue for Casper.
yeah, and I think we talk about the Red Wings and how you have to play the hot hand. And I think until Andrew Kopp decides he doesn't want to average a point per game anymore, you have to keep him on that second line with whoever, whether it's when Kane comes back and you keep him with Kane, or if the Brinkett goes to the first line and whoever else is on with him in the second line, you have to keep him there until
Yeah.
he stops streaking. Like he's on a very heavy point streak, whether it's not per game, but like in the last 10 games, like he's over a point per game. Like you gotta keep him there, ride the hot hand until and just hope either if you want Marco Casper back on there, hope he produces in that bottom six, or just keep Andrew Copp there for the rest of the season. I don't know if he fully snatched that second line, but for now, I think he has to.
Yeah, and it's merit-based play. Like we've talked about it all season. Like, the best goalie is the one who's going to be playing, right? Whether it's Talbot or Gibson. The best forwards are going to be in the best spots. Like we kind of talked about it, like, and you see that the organization believes this too. Like John Leonard coming up from the AHL, like, look, you have 19 goals in 20 games. I don't care if you're an AHL forward and we're playing well. Like, we are calling you up. You're playing well. You've earned it. We're going to play you, and we're going to play you on the second line. Like, it's merit-based play all throughout this lineup. And Marco Casper has been better as of late. I will say that. Like, I definitely don't think he's been the worst player. Since being put together, that third line of Danielson, Casper, Soderblom has the second best expected goals for in the NHL. So shout out Locked On Red Wings for that stat. But they've been really good together. Like, again, have they been as productive as Andrew Kopp? Like, no. And again, until Andrew Kopp, that merit wears down and he's not being a good second line center, you have to keep him there because his play goes so far beyond the points, right? Like he's a good face-off guy. He's a very good defensive center with two players who are not good defensively, and yet he can still give them good defensive minutes. He facilitates really well. Like those are two guys who love to score and love to play like into the soft areas a little bit. Like Kane loves the soft areas. To DeBrincat when he's scoring is in the soft areas. Kopp has no problem being that honey badger and getting his kind of nose dirty a little bit and going up on the boards or receiving passes. He looks very comfortable, veteran presence. And one thing I think we don't talk about is like, how are you maximizing Andrew Kopp? Like, it's clear that he needs to be around talented players to succeed. Like, and like, so does anyone to an extent, but like, certain players really show their best when they're with good players. And Andrew Kopp is clearly a guy like that. Like, he was like that with his time in New York. He's one of those guys where you're getting the most out of Andrew Kopp when he's being put around good players. Marco Casper has been working with Danielson and Soderblom. So, especially while you're playing so well, at least for the time being, you're going to give this line a lot of runway. So, again, you're very happy with the way that they've played. And, you're hoping for continued success from them because that second line has been one of the Red Wings' biggest tools while Larkin and Raymond have been relatively a little bit colder. So, they've turned what might have been a bad week really good with some good play from Andrew Kopp, especially. So, a lot of positives to take away from that line. So, before we head into our third and final segment, we're going to talk about some news for the Red Wings. We're not going to get into too much NHL news, but news for the Red Wings. Patrick Kane, he's going to be out until Christmas. That sounds pretty bad, but it's really just one more game. So he's going to miss Dallas. That's okay. The expected timeline was going to be 2 games, so he was supposed to be back for Washington. Clearly, it hasn't mattered much. So John Leonard, Detroit's going to have some time to make the decision on what they're going to do with him. They're going to see how he plays in Dallas. If they like him, they have the Christmas break to decide, where they want to slot him in the lineup, if they want to keep him, if they want to send him back down to Grand Rapids with Kane back. But as of right now, for Kane, the timeline is Christmas. Appleton returns from his injury. He missed the last 5. It's good to have him back. Good energy guy. Good in the depths, especially on that fourth line that's kind of been colder recently. Like you might want to cycle him out for Rasmussen for a game, or I know you shouldn't put Rasmussen back at center, but if you want to try that and then take Comfer out for a game, you can go with that. All sorts of things like that. It gives you just some more flexibility, which is always a good thing, especially when your depth scoring is prone to kind of going a little bit cold. It's good to have like new faces in there. Jonathan Berggren, my guy, was claimed by St. Louis, but I say this very happily. He's been fantastic in St. Louis. He already has a couple goals, couple assists, and he's helping out Detroit. Like St. Louis was able to beat Florida with a really good effort from him. Got a couple points there. So wishing nothing for the best, but Bergie. I think he had more to give in Detroit, but unfortunately they just weren't going to give him that opportunity. So, he wanted to get waived. Every report said he was like, look, get me somewhere where I can play. Bergie's been good in St. Louis, so hopefully he's found more of a home there. And for a final piece of news, the Red Wings take on Dallas tomorrow, or again tonight as you're hearing this. We're recording this as a Monday. Dallas is pretty much the second best team in the NHL right now, so going up against them is going to be no easy feat. Before we're back with you next, Detroit takes on Carolina and Toronto in a back-to-back. Toronto games hold a special bit of weight for us at home just because we're going to hear from all our Leafs fans' friends if they lose. They've already got 2 wins this season against them, so might be a little greedy to expect 3, but that's something we'll talk about in our predictions for the week. But yeah, so that's our second segment, all of our player talk, all of our news recap, and we're going to take one final break before we send you into segment 3, which is going to be our week MVP's best moment and predictions going into next week. Segment 3, Kicking Tires podcast. We're going to be giving out our weekly MVPs and our best moment, as well as our next week's prediction. So I'm going to start off. I always kind of go against the grain. I kind of do like a for the people pick. I've picked Bergie before. I've picked Ben Sherratt before. This week, I've actually picked JVR before too. I don't always go with necessarily the best player. I go with the player who I think has been maybe the best, but might fly under the radar and might also not get a shout again this year. It's got to be John Leonard this week. Like, this might be the last, set of games he plays for the Red Wings this whole year, maybe in his whole career. He's on only on a 1-year deal. So, I'm going to shout out John Leonard, 3 points in 4 games and a big 2 goals over this weekend. So lots of credit to John Leonard. It was really cool seeing him over the weekend. Again, it's such a great story. So great in the AHL, helping Grand Rapids just be so dominant. Best start in AHL history through 25 games, by the way, for all the people at home keeping track. I know we don't really keep touch on the Griffins, but the Hockeytown West podcast is a great way to keep up with that. They follow us on Twitter. So, again, give them a check out if you're interested in Griffins news. They're absolutely fantastic. We'll do a Griffins episode maybe sometime in the new year, catching up on kind of everything that's happened there. A lot of great stories, but one of them has definitely been John Leonard, and coming to Detroit, he's been equally great as well. So, Shola, who do you have as your MVP this week?
There's only one person. Well, that's a lie. There could have been multiple people I could have picked. I could have picked John Leonard as well, but I always like to have parity with the week MVP and best moment. I always don't like to pick the same as you. So I went with Mo. I went with Mo Seider. He's on 5-4. I thought he only had 3-4. Then I realized he got 2 points against the Islanders, and I was like, oh yeah, he's on 5-4 games. He's on fire. Um, I keep referring to this, but on the broadcast when he got the game winner, all I could hear is, "Oh yeah, Mo Seider is a superstar," and I agree, he is a superstar. He should be in Norris Sox if it was up to me. Should he win it? I don't know. Cale Makar is on
Can you give us a vote by
fire,
the end of the year?
but hey, if I could
We're
give
gonna
a vote,
overtake all the
I'd
real
definitely
journalists.
pick him.
Yeah,
I'd
no
pick him
bias
10
involved.
times out of 10. No bias at
Max
all.
Boltman, you better go give him that first. Max Boltman, the Athletic Detroit, he does have a vote. So if he gets one
If
first
you could
place
get
vote,
him,
I'd be willing to bet
I'll
it's
be
Max.
I'll be happy. If he gets at
Yeah.
least one, I'll be happy. But yeah, give him to him. He's been on fire. Hope he can keep it up. Um, if he can get to that 70-point range, hey, who knows? We'll see. But yeah, he's been my week MVP. Best moment, I'm gonna go first. I literally just said it what it was. That Mo Seider game winner from Andrew Kopp during overtime. Fantastic. I said
Electric.
it,
The
I can't
celebration too, the like
the little
the
oh you
you
the
celebration.
little
Like, come on.
yeah. He was
Just
dude,
great
the
vibes,
the
great energy.
electric, the vibes in the stadium, just the amount of people screaming at home against the
Yeah.
Capitals on the back to back. That's what you love to see it on a Sunday as well. That's a great way to start the week if you think Sunday is the start of the week. It's a great way to start the week.
Yeah, just
Um,
electric from Cider.
yeah, it was great. What do you got, Alex?
I'll go again. We try to keep parity because it would be very easy for both of us to just go cider, and then cider for the event. But I'll go with the DeBrincat double dip against the Islanders. Such a great weekend series might have kind of overshadowed the first two games, but those two DeBrincat power play goals were absolutely electric. Like pure snipe show from DeBrincat to bring the house down against an Islanders team that has dragged their nuts across Detroit this season. It was such a great moment, such a great win for the team. Really, it was a great tone setter, and really great feeling to see DeBrincat hit that 20 goals. He has not scored since after he became the most betted on player to score a goal in the next game, but whatever. Hopefully that slump will break soon. Hopefully he can get one on the power play. Hopefully Kane returns and gives him a boost. But such a great story DeBrincat's been this season, 40 points. But yeah, those two goals in the Islanders game were by far one of his best performances of the season, and it just continues to be such a great year for Alex DeBrincat. And finally, these are kind of like off the top. This wasn't even like a formal part of our segments. It just kind of keeps happening. But let's do our week predictions against an absolute probably the hardest week of the season for Detroit. Like Dallas and Carolina are like two of the best teams in hockey. And then Toronto, you've already beat twice, and they're definitely going to fire their coach soon because they already fired their assistant coach today.
The assistant. I was about to say they fired their coach today. I don't think they did it, but the
Yeah,
assistant coach, I guess.
fired.
Yeah.
I can't remember his name. Anyway, Mark Savard. Sorry, but yeah, like you're going to be going against an almost certainly fired, coached, and very fired up Leafs team. You're going to be playing against Carolina, and that Leafs team's on the second night of a back-to-back because, again, 3 back-to-backs in 2 weeks is just what the schedule makers want. And Dallas, pretty much the second best team in hockey, hands down. So what would I like from this week? 2-1. I would like 2-1. Detroit really struggles against Carolina, and I need the Toronto win for my own sake. So what I would like is I would like to win in Dallas, a loss in Carolina followed by a win. I'd obviously like all 3 wins, but I'm not getting greedy over here. I will predict 1 and 2. I think they grab one of the games, either Carolina or Toronto. Both of them, again, Toronto would be bigger, but you're getting too greedy if you think you're beating Toronto 3 times in one season. Like they're not that bad. They're not that bad. You're doomed for kind of some bad luck on the second night of a back-to-back. While you give your predictions, I'm actually going to check if Toronto plays the night before that. So does Toronto play on the Sunday? They do. Okay, so Toronto's on a back-to-back too. And it's a back-to-back with travel. They're in Detroit. Okay, maybe. It'll be close.
We'll see. We'll see.
So
I
I'll
like
go
I like how you said. I like you said you can't get greedy if you expect 3 wins. Well, my prediction is going to be that the Red Wings get 3 wins this week.
sweep the
I
week. If the Red Wings
believe
sweep
in
the
the
week,
team.
we are buying playoff tickets. We are right now going to buy pre-order playoff tickets. We don't even live. I don't
I
even have my
believe
passport.
in the
We
team.
don't live in Michigan, but we will get playoff tickets if they sweep the week. That's how confident we are.
Yeah. Then they'll probably end the year first in the Pacific.
Atlantic, Pacific.
Yeah,
So
they'll end the year. Yeah, they'll end the year first. And next week we'll have an episode before the year ends. We're gonna talk about it. I'll
yeah,
definitely put it there.
if
If
they're
they get
leaving
3,
that division into the new year, oh my lord, are we going to be on a high
you will
note?
you will not hear a single hate comment come out of our mouth to any player on the Red Wings roster.
There's gonna be some good vibe. We'll try to do something special for the New Year's show. Um, we might do a special just because we're home. We might do a second episode during the week, a bit more of a fun one. We might get a second one up as a thank you guys for showing so much support. 2,000 downloads. I know this is kind of tangent, but 2,000 total downloads. 1,000 across the last 2 episodes. Like, you guys have been absolutely incredible, and we are so thankful for all of you. So, we might do something to celebrate a little bit. But yeah, it's been a good season so far. But again, it's very possible that they lose the next 4 games of the month. So can never be too early to anything. But we are super thankful to be with you. And even if the Red Wings do lose tomorrow, it's still a Christmas season. It's still a good time. We hope all of you are doing well. Call your mothers if you're lucky enough to have them, and spread lots of love all around. Hopefully the Red Wings will show it to us on ice, and we get a miracle on ice of sorts this week. So Shola, do you have any final words for the people before we end one of our holiday episodes? Our really only holiday episode.
Enjoy your Christmas if you celebrate. Happy Christmas,
Happy
Merry
holidays in
Christmas,
general, whatever you're
Happy Holidays, Happy
celebrating.
Hanukkah, Happy New Year in advance. Hopefully your 2026 goes the same way the Red Wings 2026 will go. They will make the
Don't
playoffs
put
this
that
year,
in.
stamping it right now. But no, thank you very much. I try and check the stats for each episode to see how everything's doing. It's been going fantastic.
Yeah, and
So
again, none of this is
just seeing
possible.
that, yeah. Um, read Alex's work.
If they're
He's
here,
a
they probably
master
will.
at it. He's great at him. Read
Yeah,
his
so
work on Inside the Rink. If you see us on YouTube, you see us on YouTube. Try and listen wherever you can. Um, and yeah, we're on Twitter too.
we
So
are on Twitter. We
if you
interact
guys,
with just about everything.
yeah,
We're always there to chat. So thank you guys
so
for
check.
stopping by for another episode, kicking tires from Alex and Shola. The happiest of holidays to all of you. And we hope to see you again next week if your schedules aren't too terribly busy with the holidays. And thank you for making us a part of yours. So we'll see you in not too terribly long.